Hey guys, welcome to Service Without Excuses podcast. I'm truly honored to have a guest on today that I've been wanting to get on for a very long time. He's a big influence on me personally and to many others. So I'm sure, without a doubt, you're going to know his name. I'm not going to get into the formalities about what his background is. If you don't know who he is, just look up the name Evan Carmichael. Evan Carmichael, welcome to the Service Without Excuses podcast, my friend. How are you?
Let's go, Rob. Excited to be here, man.
That's awesome, man. So I'm going to get some questions. Most of our audience is in the home service type business, so we're going to get to that. My question to you is, if I own a plumbing company, carpet cleaning company, one of those types of businesses, how can I leverage YouTube to try and build up influence in that type of space? How can I, obviously YouTube has been your main area you've succeeded greatly in. How can a person that has a business start utilizing things like YouTube in general to really grow things out?
So normally when I'm talking about YouTube strategies, we're trying to build large channels. We're trying to, create a huge following. We're trying to be, across America, which is great. Big brands. It's a great opportunity for local businesses as well who may not have that kind of aspiration or ambition, because YouTube is a search engine. And so when somebody's typing in, I live in Toronto, Canada. If somebody's typing in Toronto plumber, I want to be showing up for that search result. And inside of Google, YouTube videos are popping up. And so the key thing here is now we're thinking of it more as a search engine play than trying to gain subscribers. And honestly, like, who's going to subscribe to a plumber's YouTube channel? Right? Like, it's not our goal. You could be really entertaining. That could be a whole different model. But for the most part, what we're trying to do is get business. And when I'm talking to small business owners, that's usually the thing that's missing, is like, I'm putting all this time into social media and it's not working, because what you want is clients. You want business, not followers, right? And so it changes the type of content that we make and how we show up. So the goal would be to start making videos around your city or the area that you cover geographically, plus the service that you provide. So, best Toronto plumber. I would make a video about me being the best Toronto plumber because I want to show up for that ranking. And then just think about, in terms of making the actual content, what are the common questions that people ask you? It's the same, like for any business, the same 30 questions that you get on repeat. You've had this conversation a million times, but they're having it for the first time. And they're trying to understand that, you are the expert, you care about me. And so people coming in will learn from you, learn from the videos, even though they have no idea, you have no idea who they are yet, but we're building a relationship through content. The other thing that hurts a lot of local businesses when they're making content is they feel like, I'm not good on camera. I have to be perfect. I have to have a microphone and lighting and gear. And that's not the case, right? Like, if you're a plumber, I'm not hiring you for how great your camera gear is. I'm hiring you because I like you as a human and I love your story. And so you could film videos off of your phone. Just make sure that you're in a decent audio, you don't have a bunch of noise happening around you. And more important is just your story. I think the first big video everybody should make is, why are you doing this business? Like, why should I hire you? Is because of your story, because of why you started, because of the care that you put in. So what is your story as to why you're an entrepreneur? The only caveat is, if you're in a video photography business, your stuff better look good. Like, if you're in a photography business and you're filming off your phone, there's a bunch of noise behind you, I'm not going to hire you. But as a plumber, I don't expect you. It's almost the opposite. If you come in looking like this studio and you're a plumber, it's like, this guy's a little sketchy, right? It's like, it's too clean. It's too perfect. I don't think I want to hire that guy as my plumber. So that's some starting points of how I would think about using YouTube specifically to help grow a local service-based business.
And I got to comment on that too as well, because I have my own service company. And the thing I found out is being consistent. Just like going to McDonald's, the cheeseburger is going to be the same cheeseburger no matter where you go in the world. It's consistent, it's manageable, and people know if they're getting in line for it. It's the same thing. Content, I feel, is kind of the same thing. And you should write it in how you'd want to listen to it if you're a customer. And a lot of people do, they write the technical aspects of something and then they go, Why isn't anybody engaging with me? Well, because you're talking in technical speak, and people don't talk that way. They listen on comments. So that's one of the things I've learned too as well with my business. Really helped. And how important do you think it is to be seen as an expert? I mean, obviously, any channel, not even just YouTube, but anything in general. I would imagine a service company. The big thing is people want to know, hey, I'm going to deal with you. You seem like you're the expert. You're the person I can go to. You seem like you're a good person. And what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think you already are an expert. Like if you're an entrepreneur, you're an expert at something. If you're a plumber, you're an expert at plumbing. I hope, because why am I hiring you, right? So
Right.
you already are an expert, and I think it's just about getting some of that expertise out into a camera so you can release it and start getting more business. As an example, I recently got my studio done. I haven't honestly, like, it's so open. I don't think, like, how many plumbers do you see making content local on YouTube?
I don't.
Like, you can suck and still be number one, versus the old days of doing like yellow page ads or whatever, where you have to spend a lot to get seen, or Google AdWords. It's a lot. If you want to bid on the keyword New Jersey plumber, it's going to cost a lot of money, versus making organic content, which is showing up in results. Nobody's doing it, so you don't have to be very good. There's not a lot of competition yet because everybody is saying the same story. But I got my sound set up here in my office, right? So I had a bit of an echo going on, and so I wanted to get it soundproofed. And I found a company that this has to be a local thing. Like, I want somebody to come in and I want him to evaluate the office and measure the space and do all the work to then give me a custom solution for my office. And I got like 4 sound panels on the ceiling and 6 panels on the back. And he came in and measured everything. But I found him through content. And so I'm typing in, Toronto soundproofing, and then up pops Jake, is his name. And what I loved about Jake was he was showing me not about all the technical things about how thick the panels are. I don't care about that. I want it to work, right? If it's plumbing, like my pipe is leaking, like, I want it to be fixed. I don't care what you're going to do to fix it. I'm paying you for a solution, not the how you're going to do it. So what he was great at in his video was he showed rooms before and after the soundproofing. So he walks into a room, and it's not shot beautifully. It's shot off of a phone. It's not very technical, but he walks into a room and there's no soundproofing, and you can hear how echoey the thing is. And then he walks into another room with soundproofing, and it's like, oh my God, it sounds so much better. I was like, oh my God, Jake, I need to hire you. And so I did. And I spent a couple grand getting my studio all fixed up. And now we're going to look at doing other rooms in here. So I felt like I was connected to him, even though he had no idea who I was.
Right.
And I just reached out and said, hey, I loved your video. I saw your video. I love what you do. He wasn't talking down to me, but he also wasn't trying to teach me the technical side of things, because if they were into the technical, they would fix the problem themselves. That's why I'm hiring a plumber or whoever, because I don't want to do the thing myself, right? But I need to know that, to your question, Rob, about being an expert, I need to know that you know what you're talking about, and you can show me the difference in some of the things that you've worked on.
Exactly. And I think at the end of the day, people pay for results. It's nice to say, hey, they put a lot of effort into something, and they worked really hard, but they could work really hard and the room could still be falling apart. So it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. Does personal branding matter to a business owner, in particular service business? I imagine any service business owner, but how do you feel about personal branding? I know that goes around, people talk about it a lot, but how important do you think it is when you're trying to establish something, especially on like a YouTube or whatever it is? And you never know, the Joe the Plumber today can be Joe the Plumber of a franchise that has 800 locations around the world. We never know. That's how the beautiful thing about service businesses go. Sometimes they start out really small and they become very big. But how important do you think it is to build up that personal brand?
Well, if anybody listening has an ambition to go nationwide and do something much bigger, then YouTube definitely is a strategy. But it's a different play than what we're talking about here, which is how do we grow, your local business. Personal brand is everything. But you already have a brand. Like anybody watching, you have a brand already. A brand is an emotion. When people are talking about you, what are they saying? The main way that most of these businesses grow is word of mouth referrals, right? I mean, maybe you got some start with advertising or whatever, but it's usually word of mouth. Somebody says, hey, you should hire Rob to do this. You should hire Dennis to do this, whatever. So what are they saying about you? That's your brand. Whether you're affordable, whether you are pleasant to work with, whether you take time to listen, whether you're understanding, whether like whatever it is that you're already doing that people love talking about you, that is now just brought into the content. So you don't have to create this new persona of somebody who isn't you. You already have a brand. People are already saying great things. So if dependability is the main thing, like, yes, I am Mr. Dependable. Cool. Now, when you're making content, talk about dependability. Talk about how important that is to you. Talk about examples of client stories where you were the dependable one, right? So it's more, the easier we can tie it into who you already are, as opposed to giving you all sorts of new things that you have to memorize and be fake about. It's just easier to get the ball rolling. So personal brand is super important, but it's not a content thing. You already have a personal brand. What the other contractors around you are saying about you really matters. What your clients say about you really matters. What your Google reviews say about you really matters. All those scores really matter. And whatever words are coming up in those conversations, that already is your personal brand. So now it's just amplifying that a little bit more through content so I can feel that when I see your videos, and it makes me want to hire you.
That's one of the things I definitely have felt has been a huge game changer is reviews. I even wrote a book a while ago about it. And in my service company, we get between 3 to 5 calls a week. These are not people that necessarily are price shopping us, not necessarily worried about, they already read somebody else's review that they don't know, probably never will know, but they respect somebody's opinion about it. And that's true, very true about a brand. What are some real key takeaways you can think about that can help somebody leverage just how they can be perceived as a home service type business online? Like I said, it doesn't have to be just YouTube, but where do you think and how do you think they can really help grow, or what are some of the best takeaways you can give to our listeners?
Yeah, and even talking about price shopping, and I don't know anything about you, I'm going to price shop. If I think that you are the same as every other plumber, what do I have? The only thing I have left is price. But if I know you and I trust you and I feel like you're going to do a good job, then I'll pay more for you versus somebody else. And so are you giving people the reason to pay you more? So when Jake did my soundproofing, I didn't even know how much it was going to cost. And when he gave me a quote, I said, okay, that's the quote. We didn't negotiate. I didn't take that to other soundproofing guys because I love Jake because of the video. And so when we say clients are really cheap or they're price shopping, some of them might be, and some of them might be only looking for like the lowest cost possible. But right. A lot of people, the only reason why they're price shopping is because they have no alternative. You haven't given them any information of why they should pick you over somebody else. So this is where our content comes in. So I think the first video everybody should make is your story. Why do you do what you do? And again, it doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to be in a studio. You could be in your van, be in your van, a little bit of sunlight on you. Don't film it at midnight or something and I can't see your face, right? And whether you speak right into the phone or you use like a headset or something, don't go buying crazy microphones, and just tell me why you do what you do. And just try to make it as heartfelt as possible. Like imagine you're talking to a client and the client saying, hey, why did you start this business in plumbing anyway? There's got to be some story, and just tell me that story. Or think of all the different stories that you're telling clients all the time and just make that video. And that's a great video, not just for YouTube, but for your website. So when somebody lands on your website and they're trying to figure out, do I hire this guy or this guy? I just want it fixed. You have this video telling me about your story where everybody else doesn't. So if I make one connection to your story, I'm already picking you, and I would pay more for you versus somebody else.
You just made me think of something. So I had to go to the dentist this morning because I have an abscess tooth, which is a lot of, and
you sound great. I mean, this is doing an interview after a dentist appointment is rough.
Yeah, it especially this one. The guy's like, you got some, it is what it is. I don't like to cancel. I don't like to deal with my customers. And I ended up having to cover one of our guys today that was sick. So here I was. You got to do what you got to do. But it really is true. If I go to the dentist and I say, listen, I think there's a pain and it's probably just a little, something's caught there. And they go like, no, I want to do an x-ray because I'm not going to give you an opinion on the way something should be based on what you, my client or customer, think something is, I'm gonna go and do an X-ray. I'm gonna break it down, and I'm gonna show you exactly what it is. And he did. He showed me. Listen, I know you had a root canal here. It didn't take that well, and there's a little infection going on. We're gonna have to go back and open it all up, and all the joys and fun that go along with that. But you know what? They're giving me the proof that's saying, listen, you need to do this. You can't let this stow. You can't just take amoxicillin for the rest of your life. You can't do whatever you got to do. You got to get it fixed. And as you know, it hurts. So just like anything, and I really think when it comes to a business or dealing with a client hiring you, it has to be almost painful not to hire you at that point. You should give all the benefits and reasons why somebody should hire you, because without that, really, you're right. It just comes down to price. You're giving no other factor to it. We make a sales system. We put a sales system in place that's automated, whether we're talking to them or not immediately. And a lot of the times we don't even physically speak to anybody till one of our crews goes out to the job because of automation. And we make it very friendly, and we make it in real time if we need to. So even if we have somebody after hours, they're physically looking at the phone, messaging somebody back. I don't expect somebody to answer the phone 24 hours a day for our type of business. But just the response, people go, wow, this is great. You're a professional. Like, that's not a professional. I'm just showing up to do my job. The professional side is, if I go out and I'm supposed to clean your tile and grout and it doesn't come out good, I'm no longer the professional. I'm just reliable. And that's where it kind of ended right there. So, Evan, I really want to thank you so much for being here today. You've given us a lot of great ideas. I am truly honored to have you here in the room, and I am in the process of actually reading your new book too as well. So I'll be talking about that as well. Anything you want to leave with our listeners, how they can find out a little bit more about you and where, and hashtag believe.
Yeah, I mean, I'm Evan Carmichael on pretty much every platform. The books are in Amazon. That's the easiest spot for that. I'm super honored to be on the show. Appreciate you having me. I love being able to get tactical. And I think for everybody, maybe just a final message, who is on the fence, or like, this isn't for me, or I don't know, or I didn't go to school for this, or I don't have the face for videos or whatever. Just remember that the standard is so low that it's not that hard to stand out. So you're not competing in the media business. You're not going up against all these big name entrepreneurs and people who are used to being on TV. You're going up against your local market and competition. And to Rob's point about, we answer calls, like, it's not that hard to stand out. Oh, you're professional. It's not like he's doing these amazing things that are groundbreaking. Your competition is not very sophisticated, and they have all the same excuses that you do, and they don't even have the information or have thought about doing something like getting on YouTube and making videos. But because you're subscribed to this show and you listen to this and you got Rob as a mentor, take that idea that we're planting now and do something with it, because the standard is so low in your industry that even if it's just you talking to a camera in your van, that might net you a whole bunch of clients.
100%. Evan, thank you so much.